I forgot one component of my setup.
Your headphones?
Nope, my microphone.
Oh my gosh. I am so impressed that I actually was on point this morning with our audio setup and you weren't.
Well, time that maybe I screwed up. No, I'm just kidding.
No, Rachel Rosen's screwing up. No. I'm the screw up.
That's why I said that.
I'm the screw up.
You're not. Oh my goodness. You're not this cute. This is how we're starting this conversation? Wow. God, talk about
self-deprecation for the win.
I was just going to say that. Let's talk about pooping on yourself.
Ooh. No.
Oh wow. Okay. Anyway,
morning people.
Morning. Good afternoon, good night, good evening.
Wherever the hell you are, we love you anyways. Mwah, mwah, kisses.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. Can we just talk for a second about how goddamn sexy Ewan McGregor is?
Sure. Of course we can. Come what may.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Because you're a huge Moulin Rouge fan. And I actually forgot. That's the one movie that I didn't really see actually at all. I'm sorry, Moulin Rouge fans out there. And it's funny because I actually do enjoy musicals a lot, as you know, from my parents' background. I don't know why I couldn't get myself to watch that movie. I don't know what it is about it, but I do adore him. And we're just watching actually the third installment because he does these long motorcycle rides with a friend of his called Charlie. And Charlie and him have done two specials now where it's like maybe a 10-part series or so where they've on motorcycles like covered a crazy amount of road area in the world.
Cool.
This last one they just did is called Long Way Up. So they've done Long Way Down, Long Way Around, and now Long Way Up. So they've gone.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. And I think, oh my goodness, the tip of, South America, all the way up to Los Angeles and
really
through Central America. So through the Andes, through, rainforests and like it's incredible actually. I actually think you and Sid might like it because I know Sid enjoyed.
I think it sounds good. Yeah, no.
And plus it's Ewan McGregor. He's just so there's something man, it's not just a Scottish accent, it's just
yeah, no. Sid would like that actually. You're right.
It's really good. He's just seems like such, I mean, I don't know him, obviously. I wish I did. Seems like such a sweet man. But anyway, this morning, I woke up and I come to the kitchen and Adriana was watching Ewan McGregor on a interview. And I was like, that's a great way to start my morning. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And he's looking at you like. Yeah.
Actually, and he's also on a new series on Netflix called Halston. You might love it.
Oh, he's in Halston. I didn't know he was in Halston.
Is Halston.
He is. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, talk about fashion and you guys would like that too, I think. It's really good.
Yeah, I saw it previewed, so I definitely will check it out.
It's great. We saw that as well. It's like a mini series, so it's just one season. I forget how many episodes, but it's
because we've been busy because I've been trying to get me and Sydney to watch through Seinfeld because I haven't seen all of it, but I've seen parts of it and the iconic episodes, and my family grew up watching it. So I said, one of these days we're just gonna binge watch through this and, you know, take it in, because he's seen certain episodes or clips, I've seen certain episodes and clips, but the whole series as a whole, like, I don't remember all the storylines, and we're already like, I don't know, almost a third of the way through season 4, and I think there's 8 seasons.
I was not expecting you to say Seinfeld. That's a great classic. That's awesome.
It's really, really good. It's really, really good.
Have you seen Jerry's comedians riding in cars getting coffee?
No.
He talks to fellow comedians, and because he's a huge car fanatic.
Okay.
So he picks like what he thinks is the iconic car that represents the comedian that he'll be seeing that day. It's typically a classic car of some type.
Okay.
And he kind of figures out the car that he thinks that would be for like their personality. And Seinfeld, of course,
wow.
I mean, all that kind of stuff. And it's very short. They're like 20-minute episodes or something. and they sit in the car and they go get coffee at a coffee shop, a random.
Oh my god!
And they shoot shit. So.
Oh my god! Is this a recent thing?
Yeah, he's been doing it. I want to say there's at least 3 seasons, 4 seasons, maybe. No.
And it's on YouTube?
Oh, I think so. I was going to say absolutely, but I'm not quite sure. It's on Netflix, I think.
Oh, it's on Netflix.
At least a few seasons were on Netflix. So I'm not sure if it's still.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny because no offense to Jerry Seinfeld, like we're not really fans of Jerry Seinfeld, just to be completely blank. But his characters that he brings into the show, his castmates, are what make the show so hilarious.
Oh my gosh, for sure. But I mean,
he himself were like, eh.
Well, you're talking more probably about acting as well.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Acting, yes.
He's a great comedic writer and a stand-up comedian. He's hilarious. Anyway. Yes. Anyway, we're just getting on about,
We're getting our juices flowing in preparation for our part 2 with Jasmin Parker from Mother.
Parkin.
Sorry, it's early. I don't wake up at 8:00 for no reason.
Because we're so candid, do we cut that out?
No.
We could.
Because it's real. I'll be like, Jazz, I'm sorry, I butchered your last name. It's okay. Now you know how people feel when I get butchered in my first name.
Hyro.
A lot of time it's that.
Hyro, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, I put 2 I's in my name for that specific reason for it not to happen, and it's happening.
I'm sorry to say, but if I see 2 I's, I kind of want to do a longer I.
I would think it would be a longer E sound.
I don't know why, but that's just my brain goes like, hi, bro.
Okay, moving on. Rachel.
I love your name. Oh, speaking of love your name, I guess unintentionally there is like a series now on our reels with songs that have to do with that use the word hero, like, there goes my hero or my hero from food on our reels now, and featuring yours truly and my hero.
Yours queerly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, there's probably going to be a 10-part series of it, because there is actually several songs that have that, including the one that you use. I didn't even know it was even a song. I didn't even know that existed. So, oh
gosh, don't even do that with my Foo Fighters and Dave Grohl. But anyway, back to Jasmin. So yeah, well, and that's it's a music segment.
Yeah.
I mean, a music segment. She's not putting on a show for us. That would be pretty cool, actually.
It would.
Okay, I just had
Me too. Collaborate with our past guests, alumni, and have like a talent benefit.
Oh man. Okay.
Cooking, music, comedy.
I'm stroking my long beard.
Motivational speaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, also okay. Exactly. Talent. Anyway, Jasmin Parkin is coming on for part 2. We last spoke with her a couple months ago, I believe. And this was just pretty much on the cusp of Mother. So she's one of the members of Mother. She's a keyboardist / singer / she's just such a wonderful human being. And I think they're on the cusp of it. No, I know they're on the cusp of actually releasing a new album. So an album will be coming out, I think, in June. Mm-hmm. She'll probably correct me. And so since we last talked to her, they've released a couple of new singles. They've released 2 new music videos, I believe, and they've released tour dates. Not here though, unfortunately. I believe it's in Europe, and I do want to talk to her about that. So there've been things that have happened since we last spoke to her. And she's been continually getting her education towards becoming a certified registered massage therapist. So as we spoke about in the last episode, which you'll have to listen to, what does this woman not do? She... I was like, what does this woman not do? Of course, I was introducing you, and I'm like, da-da-da-da-da-da. She does this, she does this. Oh, and she's a yoga teacher. Yeah, I didn't even say that again. But you'll have to listen to get really into the nitty gritty even more. We'll dive into that. Look at your hair. It's beautiful.
I know, it's absolutely radiant.
Thank you. That's very sweet. I have an amazing stylist who I absolutely adore. She's my Russian soul sister, and she just does whatever she wants to me. I just tell her to go for it.
You take new clients? Is she in Vancouver?
She is. She's in North Van, right up the street from me. I'm on like the Lower Lonsdale neighborhood, so she's like on.
Oh, Lolo, amazing.
Yeah, she's like at that point now where she's like master stylist level, where she's like doesn't need to take anyone, and it's like a super, unless she's like, are they really cool? Like, are they the coolest? And that'll, but yeah, I think you'd be in.
That's so sweet. I was just gonna like glaze right over that comment. Thank you.
That's awesome.
I actually didn't know you were in North Van. Why did I not know that? Because I grew up in North Van. So and my mom lives lower. Like I know tons of people still in Lower Lonsdale. What salon are you talking of?
It's called this. I think it's just called The Studio. She just like recently started like renting a chair in a new space. It's an old like friend that she worked with opened a place. So I believe it's called Studio or The Studio. I apologize for not knowing that. I feel terrible. It's a beautiful little space on about 4th and Lonsdale.
Oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, of course. No, it looks absolutely radiant. Like seriously gorgeous.
That's lovely. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
How are you?
I'm good. I feel like I'm just waking up. Like I'm having one of those mornings where you're like, you don't fully, like, you don't get up and are like, I'm good to go this morning. So I feel like I'm coming into the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hero in a nutshell. Speaking of which, because if you do watch the precursor to this chat, hero, you can say it if you want.
Well, you know what though? I was like, we have Jasmin Parker coming on, and Rachel's like, it's Parkin. I'm like, she'll understand.
That happens all the time. Like Parkin is sort of not as like Parker is a way more like common last name. Parkin is, I always have to tell people it's like parking but without the G. So
Exactly. But also we were talking about how my name is Hero, but people call me Hyro. I'm thinking I changed my name to have 2 I's so it had a strong E sound, not so it had an I sound. So what the hell is your problem with your phonetics, So whatever.
It's Hyro now.
Right, exactly. It's like I am the row, I am the hetero. Like, okay, great.
No. Over though, like being worried about, or caring whether someone calls me Jasmin Parker. Like it's happened in so many, like I think the Vancouver Sun once wrote an article on, this was actually hilarious. They wrote an article, like a review on one of our shows from, I think it was the Deer Lake Park show, like 12 years ago with Sam Roberts. And it was like Sally Parker, that was me. And Molly was called like some other name, like Jocelyn something. And so like for like 2 years, we called each other Sally and Joss.
And it's on your birthday cards and birthday cakes and everything.
Oh yeah. Hey Joss, love you long time. We joked about it it's great fodder for like, tour times.
Oh yeah.
About stuff. And like, you just gotta throw your hands up and like, it doesn't matter, right? It's not, what's the name?
No, absolutely. But talk about like, that's a huge mistake. That's a huge error. Maybe they thought you were a different band. Was there another band?
There were
like Father or something.
Oh my god!
I laugh more because like we're local. Like it's even more funny where you're like, wow, you didn't do any research at all, like none whatsoever. No. That's cool. That's awesome. So
archive it.
Doing.
Oh, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
That I think everyone. Well, I don't know if you read the restrictions, the easing of the restrictions that are happening in British Columbia and the plan.
Yeah.
But but honestly, like, I had an instant reaction to some of the things they were planning to kind of open the province from the pandemic. But I think that the fact that there is a quote unquote plan makes me feel actually pretty good. Like there's something that they actually have put in writing and they told us about. So,
and categorized.
Yeah. So I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling pretty positive. Still working from home and, and I will always be working from home because I work for a company based in Vancouver, but it's good. Yeah. And
I actually cried when I saw the restrictions lifting.
Me too.
I think
I almost did.
Yeah. I felt like super emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like, I think sometimes when you're just functioning as like, as sort of relatively normal, what you feel like is relatively normal at this point, which is kind of weird, but is, normal. You don't kind of feel your feelings around stuff. And when I saw that yesterday, it was like just huge relief. Like just knowing that we're moving in the other direction on any level is positive. Yeah.
Well, for sure. And Rach again, like has a little bit travel. Also, like our pandemics will affect us in different ways. I mean, a lot of the things in the pandemic that I was doing before the pandemic, I wasn't doing during the pandemic. So I kind of lucked out in terms of what we were supposed to not do. But the one thing that did get affected, and it's a big thing because I'm a workaholic, is my entire industry, because that is what I do still. And Rachel does it a little bit, but Rachel is kind of set up in a way where your stuff is a bit more pandemic proof. But for you, travel is probably the biggest thing I can think of, and events and venues, and a lot of people too, or sporting arenas. Whereas for me, I don't do any of that stuff.
Right.
Okay. So let's dive right into this because he's a really hero. That's a great segue. So first of all, since we saw you last, which I think was a couple months ago, maybe 2 months ago, but it was a while, but in a way it's not, and there's a lot of stuff has happened in between. So since you've released, I mean, I know you had a couple singles from the new album that's going to be released when?
June 25th.
Amazing. Yeah. Countdown is on.
Yes, it is.
So excited. So, and I know there's a few singles that were already released when we had talked to you, but there's now, I guess, since then, there's 2 music videos that have come out. You've released dates for a tour. So that's something else I'm really curious about the industry and how that came about. And so tell us kind of what's happened in the past couple months, because there have been some things that have happened. And
a lot.
I'm even a bigger fan of you guys, just getting to know you. And I adore your music. I really, really do. I'm not just saying that. I really, really, really do. And I will have like Spotify and then just put Mother in there and just like listen to it while I work all day.
Oh, that's really sweet. Thank you that's awesome. I'm glad you like the music and
love it.
Awesome. Okay, so much has happened. It's great. So I made a huge decision not to go back to school this term because there's too much mother, which is not a bad thing. It's a great thing. I was trying to coincide last term, and it was just brutal. It was so brutal. I think last time I talked to you, I was kind of stuff was ramping up with mother, and it was I always knew that this could happen. I still was I'm just going to do it anyway, because I still really wanted to go and learn and learn. I definitely did. But yeah, it just got to a place where I wasn't doing either thing very well.
Right.
I was showing up to photo shoots and video shoots on my one day off, and just shatteredly exhausted and not present. So, and I'm glad I made that choice, because even through the first part of what would have been my term 4, we've had it's just a lot of things. It's the weirdest thing, because I think we talked about this before with TikTok success and everything else, and how now suddenly we have all these teams of people everywhere, and record labels all over the world, like Parlophone UK and, you know, like everywhere, New Zealand and Australia, like teams of people there, and like just all these people coming on board, which is amazing. And also comes with like a whole new host of like, okay, now we have to figure out TikTok. Now we have to figure out how to like feed this and you know, do this new world. And so now I'm like fully invested in that, which is great. Yeah, awesome. So, and as far as behind the scenes with tour stuff, like, I mean, it's always been sort of like our management team and like the people who put our tours together have always been like waiting in the wings with the next possible date. Like, it's always been like, we're going to tour in the fall of 2020 when things settle down. And then it was like, okay, maybe like anywhere before 2021, like realistically, we'll go on a tour. And then of course that wasn't the case. And it was like, okay, early 2021. And then, you know, as we kind of got like more in towards the pandemic being what it was, it's clear that, okay, we're actually not going to tour until 2022. And like even that obviously is still like, this is all with like a big, like, you know, big prayer that goes out to the universe that all of this can happen. And I think it will, based on where everything's going. I think we'll be okay. But of course we never know fully, right? Until we're actually a little bit before that. So absolutely.
And so the tour dates that came out they're not in Canada though. Yet. Okay.
Yeah. It's funny because like so many people had that reaction. They're just like, how dare you not tour in Canada? And you're like, you think that we're not going to tour in Canada? That's never
totally.
Yeah, we're totally. Yeah, those are all in the works. So yeah.
Well, for sure. And is it also, I mean, it might seem obvious, but maybe it's not. Is it based on the restrictions and the different health statuses of different countries and so forth of where they currently are, and what you could book and what you can't book? Is there anything related to that?
Yeah, I think that's some consideration there. Like, we still do have more restrictions than some places. Obviously, the States are opening up a lot more. Whether that's for the good or not, that will remain to be seen. But they are forging ahead, and so yeah, we just announced like we're gonna do some festivals in the States in September and October, which is like okay, yeah, we just put it out. I think Riot Fest in Chicago, Austin City Limits, Austin, and Summerfest in Milwaukee are all happening kind of like in the later part of September and early October. And so they're planning to do it. And it is obviously totally like hinging on whether, you know, everything's okay and we can actually like fly across the border and everything else. And yeah, so we'll see.
Wow.
But, it's gonna, I can't even imagine how this is gonna feel. Like, just doing a normal thing, quote unquote, like getting on a plane, traveling, and then being in, these will be outdoor, obviously, like outdoor festivals, but just even getting on a stage and seeing a crowd of people, like, right?
I was thinking, yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about that because I'm like, I adore music, and I don't know if I mentioned this the first time we spoke, but I grew up with musical theater parents, and so I was always seeing people perform or on the stage or entertain. Like it's just deeply embedded in my soul, and I love live anything, really, unless it's country, maybe. But I do, yeah. Anyway, my point is like I was thinking yesterday, like, yeah, how is this going to happen? Because I know it's a controversial topic about vaccines, but I read an article actually. It was a Los Angeles newspaper, I believe, talking about whether people will start, like venues will start actually saying that you have to be vaccinated in order to come into the venue. To show proof of it, to sit down next to somebody who's like literally almost cheek to cheek to you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Have you heard any?
I don't know. I know that they're, I mean, you hear a lot of stuff about like the vaccine passports and how they're going to like develop those. And, you know, this is a hard subject. And like,
it is.
Obviously, like, I try to like, you know, not get too overly political about everything or, but you know, it's tough. It's tough to know like what is partially feeling like some of your freedoms are being taken, or that there is a level of control that is being like imposed upon you, that you're not sure if this is really a good thing.
Yeah.
Or bad. Like I feel very conflicted about all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the vaccine in general, like I have my appointment, I'm going in, I'm going to get it. And like everyone has their feelings about whether this is a good or a bad thing, or, you know, maybe some people are indifferent, but I think a lot of people, I have to be honest, like I see posts from my friends and it's like, there's no excuse, like get the vaccine. And, you know, and it's like, I totally understand where they're coming from because everyone wants this to be over. But like, I'm legitimately afraid to get this new vaccine. Like, you know, I'm afraid.
Absolutely. And I was the same way. And we try not to get too controversial on the podcast. It's just not really our thing. And so you like, you know, feel free to say as much or as little as you want to. It's not.
Sure.
But and it is a huge topic right now as well. But I understand. Like all I'll say is, you know, I have friends who have said what you said on social media, but I've also have friends on the other side, who've been preaching the other side of things, and actually in an interesting way, preaching fear, like being against the vaccine, but also with fear. So but it's funny because those people are also saying that society is being forced out of fear to get the vaccine, yet they're talking about anti-vaccinations with fear. I don't know if that makes any sense. There's like, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, there's so much fear from I think
It's
interesting to hear like the people that are more in the anti-vaccine camp be like, there's so much fear over there with the people that they're so fearful they're getting the vaccine, you know, and like, so therefore I'm not fearful. But I think there is fear coming from everywhere, and there's a huge collective fear right now, and it's totally understandable. I have like one of the people that's closest to me is like super not into this whole pandemic being what we're told it is, and like really on the side of like more conspiracies and stuff, and his family is like they're all getting vaccinated, they're all vaccinated, and they're really trying to like pull him towards the other, you know, like come on, like you know, and they're coming from a really good place, and like it's really upsetting for him because he's like, how can they not like, you know, support me in my fears around this. And his family's super smart, really academic, and he's like, you know, usually they don't believe in bullshit, but this time they are, kind of thing. And that's where he's coming from. And I think and it's causing rifts, and it's causing a lot of fighting between people who love each other. And I think like what I said to him was just like, you know, nobody's coming from a bad place. Like everyone's coming from like they really do think that this is the best thing for you, and you really think that this is the best thing for them, and you're both coming from that place of love. And we really need to have a lot of compassion for each other, and a lot of empathy and understanding around, you know, the fact that people are scared and everything's new, and like we can't, it just has to come from that place. It can't be from any kind of let's have a heated argument fight about this. It's like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. The problem is it's so impossible to find, you know, find out and know for sure what's real and what isn't real. That's where all the like misinformation and disinformation and everything. So it's very tough right now.
Well, it is. And as Rachel was talking about having the vaccine, I mean, honestly, I definitely am not for vaccinations, but at the same time, I went and got my shot. And the reason for that is because based on the science and the evidence that's being put out there, whether people call it propaganda or political or, you know, very like a single channel information, bottom line is that if the research has been done, it's scientific. Whether you get it or not, that's completely fine. The world will have enough, hopefully, immunity that if you didn't get the vaccination, you won't have to worry about being sick. However, if we want to get our world back to a place in where we're living to be a stabilized community, then this is not I wouldn't say a quick fix, but this is an opportunity for us to get there in a timely manner, in a place where a lot of us can start to live our lives the way that we once were living it before.
Yeah.
And that has nothing to do with pro or against. It's just fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Well, and yeah, it is interesting because and I do have a few friends who have very few though, actually, to be honest, who've said they're not getting it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I'm not there to convince you otherwise. Just, you've made that decision. That's fine. I just actually, I start to feel, because I'm like, oh my God, like you're going to come up against a lot of criticism, I think, though, especially when and some of the people that I know, they love to travel. They're travelers. They like to go see live shows. And so that's where my question, whether, I don't know if you've read any articles about, I don't know what they're going to do with live venues and indoor stuff. I really don't know. And can they do that? Can a venue actually say, I need to see your vaccine passport? That's bizarre. It is bizarre to me. I don't know.
It's sort of unfathomable to think about it like that. I mean, it's just, and it's hard to know how to feel, right?
Yes.
It almost puts me at a loss for words. I'm like, I don't know what the right thing is. But Hero, to what you were saying as well, how you're I'm not generally go get all the vaccines and super pro Western medicine. And I'm the same way. I grew up in the 80s. I had all the scheduled things, and I recently had to, a year ago, I had to get a whole schwack of vaccines to start in clinic to do massage.
Right.
And I wasn't thrilled about it at all, because over time, your MMR vaccine and stuff you had as a kid will I think I had immunity to one or two things, but the third rubella was gone. And so I had to have the whole thing and along with a bunch of other stuff all at once, which sucked.
Yes.
And it didn't make me feel very good.
No.
So if I had been given the choice of you can just start in clinic without those vaccines, I would have just started in clinic and not worried about it. But what was my point here? Point being, you're not into it, and it's not the most comforting thing in the world, but there is that feeling of this is something I'm doing for the collective, and this is something I'm doing for the greater good. And hopefully, like you said, this will be the not quick fix, but the thing that will catalyze getting back to something that looks normal. And well,
people that are in your industry of entertainment, live venues, high occupancy facilities and things like that, people that are in my industry that are with people every day, that are talking to people, getting really close to them, especially because I do a lot of hands-on adjustments. I'm very, very tactile as a teacher, not removed. People that are vaccinated, even if they need consent, as they always have needed consent, hopefully be more comfortable. You're immune, you're fine. We can go back to this, as opposed to, you haven't been vaccinated, I'm concerned about being in your space because of this. So I know there's judgment around it, but from where I'm coming from, at least, and this being a safe space, I actually would feel comfortable. Something can I see your ID? Have you been vaccinated? Okay, great, you can go through. Part of me honestly does have those thoughts and feelings, and I know a lot of people what the fuck you're talking about. But you know what? I really, that's my point of view. It could change. It could totally change. But for my anxiety, and I don't know how you feel about this, Rachel, because you do have your anxieties of health and all those things.
Do what?
I mean, not to make this. No, but I mean, I think this is a good segue to bring it back to you, Jazz, and to Mother, and to venues and stuff. I mean, yes, you have a stage, you have your own kind of barrier in a sense, like a concert would always have, or a performance venue. So maybe that's a little bit different. But if people were to come in as spectators and as contributors to supporting the venue and the facility, the event, I don't go to concerts, to be perfectly honest. I'm not a fan of the mosh pit idea, but I would go to an amphitheater. I would go to the Orpheum. I would go to the Queen Elizabeth, where I have an actual seat, or the River Rock, I'd go to those places. But being in BC Place or Rogers Arena, I'd be holy shit, look at all these people. And now we've been through this, and there's all this risk of contamination. Like I don't even know where I'm going with that, but that'll open up a lot of dialogue for sure.
Yes, it will. Like I feel the exact same way. Like my very favorite venue to watch a show in is like the Orpheum or the Vogue. The Vogue is actually my favorite theater in the city to like
The
go
Vogue's
to.
great.
Yep.
Well, now you can actually, I think the Orpheum changed their rules around like being able to bring your wine to your seat. And so because there was that whole thing with, I love the Orpheum, but I was like, oh, I can't bring like my glass of wine back with me. Like what?
Yeah.
You know, so it's not like the cool theater, it's the super beautiful theater, which I totally get. But I love seeing shows there. And for me, the Vogue, because I was like, it kind of has like that element of like, they have like that space between the stage and the seats where people can actually get up and dance if they want. But someone like me wants to remove and be like, I'm an introvert. I never like being in big crowds. If I do go to a big show, like what you're saying, like a BC Place or whatever, I will make a point of like finding like, you know, if it's not an assigned seat, I'll find like the perfect spot, like high up, way back in the balcony. Yep. Like I'll never be the person in like the front of the crowd experiencing the concert on that level.
I'm the complete opposite, which is weird though, because the pandemic's made me realize I was the complete opposite, but because I'm a freaking germaphobe, now things change. Like and that's just kind of what the pandemic's done to people. But anyway, yeah.
No, I mean, that's very interesting. I was always like that anyway. So yeah, so it'll be very interesting. But I do think, and this is like a fingers crossed too, you know, like I do think this has changed us for sure. It will change, I think, some people's feelings about being super close together, and that might change the way concerts are for a while. Yeah. I think in my heart, I feel like after a time has passed and after we've gone back to what feels more like our normal before, we will relax. We'll relax and people will feel, I think, more confident as we start to go through and see less and less infections and all this. Like, I do think it is going to get better. People will relax over time, you know? So at least that's my hope.
I agree.
What do they say psychologically? I'm not just making this up, but like for whatever length of time people have been through something, it takes, is it half the time or double the amount of time for the brain to psychologically kind of rewire, like to unpack or to unlearn what we've had to adapt to? There's something like that.
I can't remember what it is. I feel like it's double, but don't quote me on that.
I think it's double. Yeah.
So it may take, you know, longer than what it took the pandemic to, you know, run its course. Right. So,
yeah.
Go
ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, this is like a slight tangent, but there was a psychic, Sylvia Brown. I don't know if you've heard about this psychic. She was that lady with the super, super long nails that used to be on Oprah.
I know the name. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So she wrote a book which predicted the pandemic. Like she died in like 2010 or something.
Okay.
She was like, in 2020, like in the book, there's like a quote of the book, you know, where it's like highlighted. There's gonna be like a respiratory pandemic, essentially, that's gonna come. And so it's interesting because she literally predicted exactly the time. But she said something like, the sentence was something like, it's gonna disappear like as fast as it came, sort of thing. So like it's gonna disappear and then it'll make a resurgence in like another decade, like in a smaller way, kind of thing. But that little hint of like, it's going to disappear like as fast as, I was like, okay, this is going away. You know, it's funny that I would like trust Sylvia Brown, but that's a really interesting thing. I've kind of held on to that. Like she said it's going away really fast. So
I actually heard, not her, I was just seeing if I could find it and Google it, but there was a scientist though as well, a couple of scientists that predicted the same thing that you said. So not just a psychic, but like people that have been studying these kinds of, you know, diseases and viruses and stuff like that. So that's interesting.
There has been.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, other than obviously Bill Gates has been talking about it for a long time, and but yeah, there has been as well. It's almost like it was inevitable, right? Like it was almost like this happens every so often.
Yeah.
And it was a good reminder that we need to know how to be prepared for these things, right? So hopefully times it doesn't happen again. But if it does, we will be more prepared to understand how to stop it faster. Yeah.
I would hope so, based on all the things that our country at least is doing to be ready to build medicine or doses or vaccinations or protocols. And then for those that were doing their diligence through this pandemic in our lifetime, because there's been several in our past before we were even on the earth, that our generation will act smarter and know that this is real. And that there's enough fact-based evidence of this is what happened last time. Do you want this to happen again? Do you want to make this prolong longer? Or do you want to shut the fuck up for 2 weeks and maybe you might actually get back to life sooner than you think, like Australia and New Zealand?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I'm switching gears a little bit.
Okay.
I adored the I Got Love music video. So whose idea? It's oh my god, seriously. And the girl at the end of the video,
like she is so ridiculously amazing that it's like hard to even talk about it. So I couldn't even watch it like when it first was first being edited. I couldn't watch it because I'm like so sensitive to stuff like that. I just cry so easily. And I cry whenever I'm moved in any way. It's not just like, oh, I'm moved. I'm like full tears. Like it's so funny. I'm glad that I was watching it at home by myself the first few times.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember whose idea it was in the beginning to do the I Got Love video in that way. I think it was probably Ryan's idea. He's an ideas man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Sometimes like stuff gets thrown around and I'm pretty sure it would have been, he's like, yeah, we'll do a fan base thing where we ask people to submit.
Yeah.
Cutest thing ever and the best idea ever, because like going through, we had an editor, because I think we couldn't have been like as objective going through, like, so we got over 3,000 submissions, which is insane.
That's not that insane. I think about how many people have listened and shared and blah, 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 like on Spotify, on Instagram. I'm like, come on. I'm not surprised.
But like, apparently like even our management was like, fans will put out calls for this type of thing. And like, it'll be hard to get enough people sometimes to like actually make a full, or it's just like this is kind of like unheard of. But I think it speaks to who the new fans are, like these young people who like have the time to like make it. And of course it wasn't just young people. There was lots of different ages, like people from like really young to like middle, like it was everything, but generally speaking, the young people tend to be like more savvy with the video making and yeah, they're used to it because they're using their apps and their video editors and stuff. So but it was just so beautiful to see it all come together. And then that girl at the end, I apologize right now for not remembering what her name is. I actually don't think I know her real name anyway. I just know her like TikTok handle or whatever. She sparked the I Got Love For campaign of like, I got love for, that was the whole thing, was because she was like, I got love for my stomach scars. And so that was like the idea was born of like, let's all do an I Got Love For and ask people to like, yeah. So that's how that all came about, because of her. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
How that happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is really great.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I cried, but I definitely had tears in my eyes. That was just, I just love seeing people come together with those collaborative efforts. It's just so cool. Like, it's just, it warms my heart. So nice.
It's really phenomenal to see that. And then to see, I just love what's happening in this generation with, whether it's body positivity or just, like valuing yourself, worthiness, all this stuff that is like being talked about pretty regularly, and like how we have these influencers who are doing like really, in my opinion, like incredibly brave shit, like putting their bodies out to the world and being like, I'm normal, I'm beautiful, you know, and
Yeah.
like that type of stuff. I never saw shit like that when I was a kid.
Me neither.
And I was so ashamed of who I was externally. And that's so sad to think about. Like, I had quite a bad eating disorder it started when I was 12 through to 15, 16. Took a long time to unwind, but probably like the depths of it was pretty bad between like 12 and 14. And like, it was just, all we had was like 90210 and, you know, like Teen Magazine, and people weren't talking about this stuff, right? And how you can separate yourself from that thinking. And I think you don't understand like thought patterns and all that kind of stuff when you're young. And then there's no one also telling you like, hey, who you are is okay. And so it was such a vicious cycle for me. And I'm sure for so many, and I'm sure it still is, but at least now there's like this forefront, this mainstream of people being themselves and showing what is normal, and that it, like, you don't have to be a certain way to be beautiful or to be valued. And God, that's just so fucking right on, you know, like, thank you.
Absolutely, because, you know, and it could, I think, well, when social media first came out, it went the other direction. Like, there definitely was like and you know what, there still is, like, to be honest, filters and the, you know, actually, and I talked actually on a separate episode, I think, with just Hero and I about, it still drives me bananas when people are like selling mindfulness or some holistic practice, and they're like, sorry, that's terrible. No, if you're listening to this, you're like, what did she just do? Like, you know, and they're massive lips, and they're just selling this.
They're selling sex as a tool for healthiness.
Yes, which still happens. Sorry, I'm being like a downer here, but
you're totally right. But I think at least now people are starting to wake up. Like, this is what I feel like it is. It's like, it's an awakening. And I think for, you know, marginalized people and women, it's like, it's an awakening of like what our programming has been. And so people are starting to see it a little more for what it is. And like, I feel sorry for those people. Like, I feel fucking sorry for you if you feel like you can only sell what you have to sell because, you know, just based on your physical appearance, and you have to present a certain way in order to be good enough in order to do it. Like, that sucks for you. And
it does completely.
Right? I understand that inclination 100%. I understand those pressures and the fear around all of it. I have succumbed to all kinds of things that I wouldn't want to admit, but it's like, I'm working on it. Like, we all just, being real is the best way you can combat that.
Now, did you find like being on stage and being like a performer, I'm assuming even after, you know, the eating disorder and becoming an quote unquote adult, whatever that means, that you like, was that an issue being kind of, you know, on stage, on magazine covers, whatever it may be, and for your bandmates as well? But I feel like you guys are all fairly like natural, and maybe I'm just making that up, but I think that's why I love you guys too, because you're just really, this is me, and like, I think that does have a lot to do with our age too. Like, obviously we're all, you know, like either approaching 40 or in our 40s, and that is, you know, part of age comes like not giving a fuck. I think that's part of what happens. You start to like be like, oh, well, this is me now, so this is all you get, this is what you get, and like, if you don't like it, like, that's a, you know, and that happens over time. But I do think, of course, like, there's particularly like, I feel like an eating disorder is sort of like being a drug addict or an alcoholic, in the sense that you never 100% are out of that mode of thinking. At least for me, that mode of thinking is still, that insidious little voice is still there. And yes, for sure. I think everyone, as Ryan's talked very openly about his struggles with his cycles of binge eating and food restriction and stuff like that. And, you know, everyone in the band
I'd say for the most part, mostly everyone has struggled a little bit here and there with that. And for sure, there's added pressure with, being seen, right? But I've done a fair amount of, I continue to do a fair amount of work around that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I refuse to accept the any kind of thing around you need to change yourself in order to be good enough to appear on this magazine cover or be part of this band and in the spotlight. I refuse to, for me, aging was hard. The idea of aging was really hard for a long time. And it's still, of course, again, it's I feel like the aging especially is really fucking hard for women because of our conditioning, because of our programming, because of what we've been taught and shown, and because of our value, the amount of value we place on older women in particular, which is this, because if you don't look young, you're not worth shit, is essentially what we see pumped out at us, right? And we don't see women who are not as often, who are fully naturally being themselves, in Hollywood and musicians, most people who are super mainstream in that world are very heavily injected or surgeried or whatever, right? And I understand 100% why they go that route, because it's fucking hard to to separate yourself from all of that and say, fuck off, I'm gonna just be who I am, right?
Well, it wasn't even that long ago, Jazz, that that women, especially in the entertainment industry, specifically actors, that it wasn't that long ago that it was okay, well, once you hit over 40, you're done.
Yeah.
That seems so young, but it's true. Once you start showing any signs of age, you're not getting any work anymore. It's you're that wasn't that long ago. And I think that unfortunately it's going to take maybe a little bit longer, for that to kind of work its way out of the system. But
it's
I know,
disgusting. Go ahead, Hero.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very weird correlation, but again, very exactly what you said. This is how gay I am. In the last 2 months, I've watched the Sex and the City movie twice, and my partner's chuckling in bed right now. But I swear, in the very beginning of the movie, Candice Bergen says to Sarah Jessica Parker, "We want you to be the 40-year-old bride."
Right.
Case in point, this is the last opportunity for you to be part of the magazine, to be shown in the spotlight and being young and beautiful, but you're going to be a bride at 40. It's how fucked up is that psychological warfare to think I can't get married and be beautiful when I'm over 40.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And the other.
That wasn't that long ago. That's the thing too, right?
I know that movie came out in 2006.
Yeah.
So, and your point being, though, is that even if you might have established Mother in its initial lifetime and then now it's resurging, I find a lot of musical bands or people that are in musical entertainment are usually younger or start out younger, and their fan bases might be universal, but they might also reflect the demographic that the band or the music artist might be too. Yeah. So now you have a generation of people that you can actually be proper role models for, because you actually have life experience, and these people can follow you without following you blind. Again, that's not what your intention is either. I don't think that's very common. And I don't know a lot about this industry, but I think that's something that's very unique that you have as a platform we have lived some life, we have some years ahead of you, but you are teaching us as much as we can teach you.
Yes. I love that you brought up that point, because I think that's so beautiful, in the sense that you're so right. I think this is incredibly rare. I think when we first started out in our 20s, would have been a normal time to, if it were going to happen, to get a huge teenage fan base who at that point in your 20s, when you're usually, and maybe I can't speak for everyone, but I think generally speaking, you really don't know exactly who you are. Not to say that I know now, but the difference is I really know that I don't know. And so that's, in your 20s, you're I know exactly, who I am. And there's this kind of you know, or your teens, I'll never do this and I'll never do that. And this is what I do and this is what I don't do. And all these kind of like rigid things. And you're discovering that. Yes, yeah, exactly. And it's sort of like the blind leading the blind in a way. And I think there's so much more facading, that's not a word at all, but putting on of facades in your 20s of like trying to be cool or trying to be what you envision as something to be cool, presenting as something. And like, that's what happens. I feel like in your 30s, you start to like slowly, of course, but like deconstruct all of that and understand like, oh, I was doing that. And now I'm just going to like slowly relax into who I am. And that's all going to be okay. And that's ever evolving and that's ever changing. But there's a sort of like, okay, like it is like, I feel like a full, just like a decompressing through the 30s. And it's hard. It's goddamn hard. And it sucks.
Thanks for the heads up.
Right? Okay, so how old are you now? Do you mind me asking?
No, I'm 29. I'm turning 30 in February.
February what?
First.
First? I'm the 9th.
Yeah. You're the Aquarius too. Oh my god!
Oh, you're such a baby. That's so cute.
It's the gay gene and the Jewish gene. I don't know what to tell you. There's a lot of trauma underneath this scarring face.
You look very young too. I just thought you could be one of those like people who just never aged a day, which you too, Rachel, you are so young looking. Like, not that matters at all, but like I would have thought you were 25. Like, I never would have known.
Shut up. I'm gonna tell you to shut up again. Shut up. I think we're around the same age. My birthday is actually the 31st of January, so we're all Aquariuses.
Oh my god!
Amazing! Yes! We have to do a joint birthday together. Can we please?
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, but I'm an introvert.
I am too.
So if we could do that, like, what did they say, that introverts coming together separately alone in their apartments? That's...
You mean doing this the whole freaking last 16 months? Okay, fine, sure.
Just continue to do the same thing that we do.
It's so true.
God.
Sorry, I totally lost track of what I was even saying earlier.
We were talking about just the mixture of generations and being embracing the fact that you don't know, and that's okay. That's a beautiful thing.
And with that being said, it's like I was just thinking I'm going to be the hero now of the conversation. Haha. Pun intended. I don't know what that means. Meaning that you guys are like literally the mothers of the young generation, literally. So with that being said, like, do you guys feel a responsibility now? Like, do you feel?
Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely. And I think this is the perfect time to feel that responsibility, because the understanding of what that responsibility is so much greater than it would have been when we were still trying to be cool.
Yes.
If that makes sense. Right? Because now we don't care.
No. Yeah. And it's showing that people respect that sense of independence and freedom of individuality, which is what the whole world needs to be like, at least if we can control it a little bit. You know, and I can only imagine once it's safe to do so that you again, mother husband, but again, I don't follow that stuff, but I'm sure you guys been at the Folk Fest? Like, have you presented at the Vancouver Folk Fest musical?
Not for,
oh my God.
Exactly what you were saying.
Music festival.
I think the band might have done the Folk Fest like before I was in the band, like in like 2006 or something.
Okay.
So yes, but no, it has been, I feel like the music kind of got away from started out more folky and then kind of went away from that. And so it was like less Folk Fest friendly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair. Yeah, there you go.
I have one thing just to pull up, just because from the conversation we were, and it was something that I just was thinking about, talking about women, you know, after 40 or whatever, just feeling like their careers are finished in Hollywood and all that kind of stuff. So do you know the actress Justine Bateman?
Yes.
Have you been following her lately or know what she's...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm all over it.
Me too. Okay, so this is now like, can you? Oh,
is that Jason Bateman's daughter?
Sister.
Okay,
sister. Oh wow.
Okay, so the reason why I put it really close is because she's somebody who's recently come out and been like, well, this is my face.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, go into the whole feeling pressured to get surgery to get like this is my face.
Yep.
And she's had a crazy amount of attention over her just standing up and being like, this is women age, people age.
Yes. But the problem is we're not shown that because people don't feel like they're allowed to because they think they're going to be obsolete. And it's what pisses me off the most, because this whole thing pisses me off beyond belief. But what pisses me off the most is that it's sold to us like in the industries that are like cosmetic dermatology and like all of this stuff that we can do in order to like, it's like, well, everyone wants to look and feel their best. And, oh, it's self-care. Oh, it's, there's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself and looking at your best. And it's like, it's put under this category of self-care. But the problem is, and also I hear, how about this? Oh, well, I do it for myself, not for anyone else. Okay, so wait a minute. Let's talk about 1 second here. Let's go to the root of that. Okay, so why do you actually feel the need to, like, it's because you feel that there's something fundamentally wrong with you. That's actually the root of it, right? Like you think that what you are is not acceptable in some way. And so whether you think you're, like, I would beg to differ in saying that you're lying to yourself if you think you're doing it for yourself. It's like, yes, okay, you're doing it for yourself in the sense that you're going to feel better potentially because externally you're going to get a lot of validation about how good you look.
Right.
And that's the truth. That is just the fucking truth of it. It's like you are doing it because you do not feel like you are good enough as you are and that you can show up as you are. That is the truth. It is not self-care. It is a level of self-mutilation that is so beyond like self-love and self-care that I can't even, it's just like, and it consumes women's minds. It consumes everything. We think about it all the time, whether we're all the time. It's the cyclical thing that, and we're not thinking about things. I love it. Jamila Jamil, who is amazing actor. Do you guys know Jamila Jamil?
So familiar, but
so this is like the least cool thing about her, but it's pretty cool. She's James Blake's partner, the musician James Blake. They're a couple. You don't know James Blake?
How do I not know who that? I don't know who that is.
We're looking up James Blake after listening to his music because he's absolutely amazing artist from the UK. Anyway, she is a big advocate for this, and what she says, and I think is so poignant and perfect, is just, we're consumed by this all the time, whether it's our bodies or our faces or, like a wrinkle or a this or that. We are not spending time thinking about the things that actually are important and that matter. We don't consume, our minds are not consumed with things like our family and our careers and the things that we want to do. And like, sure, they are to a degree, but this other cyclical bullshit that goes on is taking over. I think she said there's like a scientific fact around like this stuff that goes through our mind. It's like takes over like 90%. And so the most amazing thing is that we have the power individually. We have the power just to actually reprogram ourselves and to say, no more. Like, and when those thoughts come in, we can do things in order to break the cycle. And so we need to empower ourselves to break the cycle. And like all the fucking creams and all the things that were sold and based on a lack and based on us not being good enough are going to go out of business. And like, hopefully.
I mean, how rare do you walk by any kind of advertisement or see any kind of advertisement saying, do you want to look good? Do you want to feel good? Okay, then just be yourself.
Right.
How rare do we see that in media saying, oh, okay, you want to do this? Do you feel this way? Here, how about smile and not be so hard on yourself?
Yeah.
That's only starting to happen now. And you're right, like Jazz first kind of brought that up about it's actually is starting now in social media and with certain people, and like Justine Bateman. So I mean, we need people like that, I think, for sure, because unfortunately we're still a culture that does look outwardly to then therefore look inwards. So it is going to be that way. So I'm happy there are influencers, people out there that have a platform, and like yourself too, that are saying these things. So that whole, I was going to call this speech almost, that whole, what you just said.
It was a speech.
No. I the reason why I said that, see, now this is the like marketer in me. I'm like, that's going to be one of our clips.
Awesome.
I love, because it needs to be said. It needs to be said. It's great.
It's a sickness. Our society is sick, and it's an illness that needs to be remedied. And it's going to start with each person individually waking up to what's happening, and waking up and deciding to change themselves from the inside out. Right? And it's inner work, not outer work, which I love. Inner work, not outer work. And I'm still a person. I'm still a human. I'm still in a band that values fashion and beauty, and I still wear makeup for things, not today, but for stuff that I feel like I need to, and or to look a certain way, and like of course there's going to be a level of that, but it's like, can I do that healthily? Can I do that in a way that still allows me to feel like myself, and still allows me to feel like I have value in society, no matter how many wrinkles I have on my face? Like look at Justine Bateman. It's like, she's a beautiful, healthy, I don't know how old she is, late 40s, something like that, maybe early 50s.
In her 50s. Anyway, I think she's in her 50s, but
healthy 50-something-year-old woman.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with her. Zero.
No.
And like, this is what I'm saying. We need to just see more people waking up to the fact that they don't need to change themselves. And I'm doing that now. I'm unwinding my fucked up.
Yeah. And I have to completely admit this, and this is just the conditioning that happens being a human being in the society we live in. When I first saw her face, because I hadn't seen her in anything for many years, and she'd kind of been out of the spotlight, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of like, whoa. I shocked. I was a little bit shocked. And it wasn't because she wasn't beautiful.
Yeah.
It was just because like, wow, she has aged. Yes.
Yeah.
Why is that? That's not a bad, it's just, but I did notice my first reaction was like, wow.
Of course, because we don't see it, because people who are in the spotlight generally. And of course, we all age at different paces and with different, we all have different genes. We have different, whatever, maybe we had 10 years of like drug addiction or something else. And some people with 10 years of drug addiction or 20 years of drug addiction for some reason still look super young. And there's not like, it's just the matter of the way that we age naturally is different. Every person is different. And we need to normalize the spectrum of that. And like, yes, I know exactly what you mean, because that it's normal. And human beings still have, we're still aesthetically driven animals, right? Like scientifically, that's like part of, we've always in the history of man done like modified our bodies and done things that are, and so that's part of who we are too. And that's okay. It's just, it's just when it gets to be, now we're not allowing for anything real to enter mainstream, and everyone thinks there's something wrong with them when they start seeing it on themselves. And that's what the problem is. Yeah. I
have nothing more to add to that. I think, great, absolutely fantastic conversation.
Incredible conversation. And you hit on so many points in this hour that are going to be so advantageous to those that do choose to listen or watch the wisdom that you have to share with people. It's really incredible. And it's only going to continue to be amplified with the ability for you to share your voice with yourself and the community that Mother is reaching universally. It's pretty profound what you're doing.
Thank you so much. I feel like I just very like impassionedly like went off about my feelings on this whole anti-aging thing, and like
That's what we want. That's what the world deserves to see, to hear, and to be exposed to.
Yeah.
no more anti-aging is my new jam.
I love it. Is there going to be a song about it? If there isn't one already?
Oh, I think so. I think
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
Anti-aging. It's like AAA.
Yeah, AAA. And they could just be called AAA.
Yeah. Perfect. I love it. AAA. I'm going to work on so lovely to talk to you guys again.
Thank you, Jazz.
Awesome. I can't believe how fast the hour goes by. When I've like last time too, I was just like, what happened?
Oh, yeah. Because we're all Aquariuses. We connect.
I know. Absolutely.
Universe. It's beautiful. Okay, so I just can't wait for the album to drop, and that's June 25th. You said.
Yes.
Can't wait for that.
Super exciting stuff coming up. I wish I could talk about all of it, but I can't. But I can just say it's coming, and have a look out for like our teasers and stuff that are coming over the next week or two. And yeah, it's really exciting.
Well, you know what? I mean, this is going to be an ongoing discussion, so don't worry. We're going to have you back.
Awesome. We'll talk about all kinds of great things, I'm sure.
I know
we will.
And the next time I'm down in Lolo, I hate that, by the way. Hate it.
I think it's like, yeah.
Someone who
I know. I said it to yeah.
I know you said it to piss me off because you know about that. No, it's someone that grew up in like on the North Shore. I'm like, what the? Oh God, it's so bad. But the next time I'm down there, I'll hit you up if you're up for if you're around to.
Of course, yeah. We could meet at Beautiful or one of the other awesome little spots and have a beverage or a snack.
Holla at me, girls. I'll come across the water for both of you.
You bet.
Love it.
Love me a good sea bus ride.
I love the sea bus as well.
Mm-hmm.
I miss that, actually.
It's beautiful.
All right.
Okay, well, have a beautiful day, both of you. Thank you for calling and chatting. It was awesome to see and hear you.
Amazing. Thank you, Jazz. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.